And we're live, Brian.
All
EV
right, so
Boy.
I'm assuming everybody can see me right now. Is that right, Mike?
Yes, everybody can see you.
Okay,
Absolutely.
fantastic. Hey, everybody, it's E. Brian Rose from JVZoo.com, and I want to welcome you to our first Webinar Jam webinar. This is going to be very cool, and the man that I'm about to introduce really needs no introduction. His name is Mike Filsaime, and he is one of the top internet marketers in the world. I know most of you have heard of him. I've worked with him many times. He's spoken on our stages at Marketing Mayhem many times and just blown the audiences away. And tonight he's going to talk about some really cool techniques that you can do to blow your business up in the webinar arena. So without further ado, I just want to introduce Mike Filsaime.
Thanks very much. I appreciate it. Guys, we're going to have a good time. This is a real honor to be working with the JVZoo guys and being able to come into work with the community. Been to, I think, 3 of your events over there. They're always a lot of fun for me and Michelle when we get there. I'm actually going to put on my little reading glasses here, guys. Over 40 by several years. And I want to jump right into the content. So if you guys can all hear me and EBR, good, type into the chat. Let us know. And as you know, it takes me a couple of seconds until I see that there. EBR, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to jump right in. That cool with you?
Absolutely.
All right, let's jump in. All right, so I want to share this little thing right here. Okay, present to everyone, and you're seeing my screen, right?
I'm seeing it, absolutely.
All right, cool. So here's what we're going to learn today, guys. Here's my promise to you all. I promise that in just over the next hour, you're going to be able to double the sales of your current webinar. And if you have never done webinars before, that's okay. You'll have a template to follow to do high converting webinars, just like many people that are currently using webinars to run most or their entire online business. Everybody's typing in yes, yes, loud and clear. Hello from Mexico. Okay, everybody's hearing us good. So that's a good sign. All right. Now, with that said, oops, look at that. I got a previous slide there. That shouldn't say Anik. I apologize. See what happens when you're live? Brian and I, we're going to be going over a fantastic offer for you, and I do have something exclusive for you. I have a bonus for you guys just for staying on to the end. You don't have to buy anything. Just for staying on to the end, I have a special bonus for you guys. All right? And here's something that I like to do. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later in the how you do a structure for your webinar. So I want you guys to chat. So type something in the chat for me. If you go on webinars, right, and you're invited to a webinar, do you know that there's going to be an offer, what some people call a pitch? Or do you guys know that that's going to happen nearly every time that you come on a webinar? Let me know in the chat if you know if that's the case. And here's the thing, I like to talk about that. Okay, and the reason why I like to talk about that up front is because it takes away, thanks Dave, I locked my camera, it takes away any of the anticipation, anxiety, or ickiness of having an offer. So here's the deal, guys. If I promise to give you guys great content, do I have your permission to take 10 minutes to give you a great offer for you to consider? If that sounds fair, type yes. And here's the deal, all right? If when we get to that point, this is all up to you, okay? If we get to the point and I ask you, if I gave you great content, you say no, then I promise I won't give you an offer. So if you say this was great, I'll ask you, and then the content will be there to judge, and that's pretty ballsy. But I'm so confident in what Brian and I are going to be sharing with you that I think you're going to be pretty excited about it. All right. So again, there are bonuses for everyone just for attending. Now, they're going to be right at the end of the webinar, right when we get to the end. We'll do the Q&A, and then I'm going to give you a nice surprise bonus. I promise you're absolutely going to love it. And here's another thing I want to let you know. I'm actually going to give you a second bonus. I'm going to give you the slides for this webinar. All right, so you're going to get access to the slides of this webinar because I'm going to be going through what I call rich Sheffrin slides. I'm going to be giving you guys so much content, it's going to be hard to take notes. But I encourage you to take notes. I encourage you to really listen to everything I'm saying and apply everything I'm saying. But if you get a little worried because I'm going a little bit fast for you, don't worry about saying, can you go back to the previous slides? At the end of this webinar, for sticking around, I'm going to give you copies to this entire presentation. And if you're happy happy about that, let me know, all right? Because I want to make sure that that's cool, and I'll keep doing them on future webinars. All right, so I went backwards there. All right, so first, here's why you should be doing webinars. Webinars are by far the fastest, easiest, and best way to sell your product or service and profit online, period. They're just the easiest way. I know that EBR and Zimmerman used to have an entire site dedicated to doing webinars, and they were making hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? With webinars. And here's why. This is Andy Jenkins. He's my business partner. He says nothing converts a visitor to a web page to a higher dollar amount into your shopping cart than live webinars. All right. So here's why webinars are the best way to market online. Number one, you don't need to prepare a video sales letter. You don't need to prepare a sales letter. You don't have to become an expert at copywriting. None of that stuff you don't have to worry about. I'm going to actually show you a way where you just basically do what you do best. You're probably a topic matter expert. And simply by showing people your expertise, they're going to see that you're the type of person that they want to be doing business with. And then I'm going to show you how you just transition that into making them want to become customers of yours where you don't have to sell. All right? You don't have to worry about building complicated funnels. Now, that's an important part of marketing, but it's not where you should be getting started. Man, I got to tell you, what it takes to build out a funnel these days can take weeks, and then you find out that something's not working at the beginning of the funnel. And because funnels need to be scented all the way through, if you have to change the front, you've got to change everything. So with webinars, you don't have to worry about that. They're not only great for making sales, but here's what I love about webinars. They're also great for product creation, training, affiliate programs, product fulfillment, engaging with your customers, and continuity programs. I know people that use webinars to sell and train their customers and their prospects, and then what they sell them is they say, guys, once you buy today, we're going to be doing an 8-week webinar class that starts Monday. And then they actually use webinars to continue their training, and then they fulfill the product. And guess what happens? When they're done with that, they can go now take that recorded content and sell it as a product. So I think that's pretty cool. All right. Next, they're really, really good for $197, $297, $2,000, and $5,000 products, all the way up the pole of price points. It's really good. Now, generally, in marketplaces and front-end marketing and selling on Facebook, we're going to use products that sell between $7 and $47. And I encourage you that if you're currently doing that in your business, please keep doing that. What I want to make sure that you know is that after you put people through your marketing funnel, somewhere at the end of that funnel needs to be an invitation to a webinar, because that's where you can really take your what I like to call the campaign value of a customer, people call the lifetime value of a customer, and really double it or triple it. And when you start doing that, that's when pretty interesting things happen. All right, and I'm going to explain that in about 3 bullets. Also, they're the best way to build lists. I've been doing live webinars and evergreen automated webinars since 2010. And because of that, I've been able to put over 225,000 people on my email list that not only opted into my email list, but they were told that I was an expert. They got to attend a training from me. They saw me as an expert, and they get to buy my customers. All right? Here's why webinars are the best way to get JV partners. I've been talking about this for a long time. I use this analogy. When I go to my own events, or I go to an event like with EBR, over at the JVZoo Marketing Mayhem events, or if I go to Traffic and Conversion Summit or any events, there are 2 types of JVs that happen. The first type of JV is not the way that it should be. It's that somebody comes up to me, hands me a business card, and starts vomiting. And I always look at this like the movie Finding Nemo, where Nemo fell on the boardwalk at the end, and all of these little birds started going, mine, 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 and it was just this ridiculous attack where it was all about me, right? And that's what I feel sometimes is happening at a seminar. I hear me, me, me. So you don't ever want to be the person that goes up to somebody and says, hey, Brian, here's my business card. I know you got a really big list. I just want to let you know if you have 2 minutes, I have a really cool software product coming out, and it's going to be selling for $297, and we're paying 50% on the front end, and the back end has 2 upsells and 2 oh my God, I can't even listen to myself say it right now. I know that if somebody walked up to E. Brian Rose at an event like that, I know his face would just go back. He'd look to his left, look to his right, and he would say, I'm sorry, what was your name again? Right. Look, guys, we all have good products. We all have something that we're passionate about. That's what we need to bring to the table, or we're not even allowed to get up at bat. But if we want to know what allows us to hit grand slams instead of striking out when we get up at bat, that's called having a high converting offer. Now, when you have a high converting webinar, like I'm going to show you at the end of through this training, what happens is the word gets out around you, and the tables have turned, my friends. Now you're sitting at a bar or in a room or in between breaks or at one of these awesome parties that they have at Marketing Mayhem, and suddenly you're there, and a guy like me or many other people come in and say, hey, is your name Jim? Yes. Hey, how are you? Mike Filsaime. Yes, yeah. Hey, Jim, listen, I've been hearing some really, really good things about you. I hear you got a great product, and I've also heard that it's converting very, very well. Yeah, I'd love to talk to you about it. Yeah, hey, if you get some time this weekend, I'd love to, connect, get you my details, get you my phone number, and let's call when I get back to town, and let's set up a webinar. And I've got webinars coming up later this month with guys like Steve Renton and Bill McIntosh and different people, because I'm hearing that they have a great product that converts. So guys, I know it's not necessarily what you want to hear, but you're going to love it when I share the information with this webinar. The way to get JV partners is by having a product that converts. Once you do, they will seek you out. The traffic that you buy from solo ads and Facebook and YouTube and Google AdWords, it can't fail when it's high converting. Okay, so Tony Robbins says either you're growing or you're dying, right? So if things aren't working out for you and you say, yeah, my business is dying, that's simply because of one thing: your offer's not converting. Once you get that offer converting, everything changes. So let's move on, all right? Webinars are low risk compared to product launches. I've done, oh my God, 10 years, maybe I've probably done 25 to 30 product launches. And here's the thing: 4 out of 5 product launches I do well. 1 out of 5 product launches I do fails miserably. I put together months getting a product together, months of putting video 1 together, getting my affiliates to mail, video 2 together, getting my affiliates to mail, video 3, getting my affiliates to mail, and then suddenly, after talking to everyone and thinking that I've got everything right, I open up the cart, and you can literally hear crickets. And like, you don't even know what to do. You don't know what to say to your JV partners. They know the stats are horrible. You don't know what to do. So the thing is, it's not about failing. You could fail at a webinar, but you can figure out what went wrong and fix it and be on another webinar in 2 days. Okay, so I don't want you to think that it's about not failing. You need to fail. We need to have scars, right? When you work out, the reason why your muscles ache, it's the same thing in business. We need to have those little pains so that we can know where to adjust. The thing with product launches, and I love them, webinars are just less risk compared to a product launch. What I love about webinars is you improve on every one that you do. Now I'm going to be as transparent as I can with you guys. And I'm so happy to be able to be talking about webinars on a webinar. This isn't the first webinar I've done. This is the 3rd webinar I've done in 3 days. But guess what? This is the best one that I've done in 3 days, because I found out a couple of areas that went a little bit long, and I was able to take them out. I realized from my chats what people were asking me, I just put it into slides. Instead of having to wait for the Q&A, people were asking questions. I said, okay, well, I'll just put them into my slides. So you always improve. And finally, there's something called teach to transform to transact. Okay, so let me talk to you about something that happens every single day to every single one of us. And EBR, let me know if you have the same problem. You've got a business to run, or you're trying to start your own business. You've got your to-do list of things to do. You've got people bugging you more than ever these days with your text blowing up, your Skype blowing up, Now your Apple Watch is vibrating on your hands 19 times a day. And suddenly, you're not in your email inbox as much as you used to be. And now you find yourself at 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night opening up your inbox. There's 48 emails. And it says, Secrets to Online Profits, double this with Amazon selling. And guess what you do? You've got one agenda. And that's to make sure that when you wake up tomorrow, you still don't have those emails in your inbox. Okay? Your only agenda is to get your inbox to 0. So now you see a video. And it's from E. Brian Rose and Mike Filsaime while you're doing your email, and you click it, and you come to this video sales letter. And there's no scrub bar. And you're trying to get your email down. And you're saying, I don't know if this email is 7 minutes or 47 minutes. So what do? Do you stop at 10:30 at night and watch that video, or do you go back into your inbox and start doing your email? All right? That's called interrupted marketing. That's what most of us do. But we don't want to do our business like that with our best products, our best offers, and our best customers. So what we want to do is we want to do our marketing based on appointment, based on something that somebody can clear out their schedule, and then they can attend our webinar. So when you're doing a VSL, you don't have time to teach people. You actually just have to jump in and get the offer done. But when you can do a webinar, you don't have to sell anymore. You can teach people your methods like I'm doing right now, and there's no pitch. You simply, when you're done, you're like, hey, if you like that, there's more. If you're interested, cool. If you're not, I understand. Okay, but people love you either way because you train. So you get to train and educate people and not sell, and people absolutely love that. And that's how you build a brand with trust, authority, and credibility, and establish yourself as an expert and a thought leader. Period, the end, with webinars. People will make an appointment, they'll register for a webinar, they add it to their calendar, they get a text reminder, and they show up. And the proof of that is the fact that you guys are in the room right now watching, that it works, that we've been on this webinar now for 20 minutes, and I can promise you, if this was a VSL, you'd be tapping your feet going, when is this thing going to end? Because you're not being taught in the VSL. With a webinar, you're learning, all right? But here's where it gets even better, all right? Customers that attend webinars, they refund less, they buy higher priced products, they buy more often, they open more emails, they click more links, they take more action, and bottom line is they're just more engaged. And they're the highest percentage of the people that show up at your live hotel events, all right, which is at the top of your ascension funnel. And on top of that, they give you more testimonials, they're more active on your social media, your forums, your Facebook group, and we found that our overall best customers that come on our webinars are actually the smartest ones and the ones that take more action. They're the most action-oriented of all of our customers. They're the most successful. So first of all, a quick shout out to you, a quick round of applause to you guys for being on this webinar, because you're proving right there that you're among the most action-oriented and smartest because you're learning information. All right? I just went backwards there. I apologize, guys. Bear with me. I'm going to take a quick sip, and we're going to jump in. All right, thanks. So with all that information I just gave you, is there any reason not to be doing webinars? Not at all. Everybody should be doing webinars in their business, without a doubt. And again, if you're starting out, even better, because that's where I truly believe it's the easiest, fastest, and best way. So now, let's do a quick poll. This is going to be nice and fun and interactive, and I'm going to talk about why doing stuff like this is important in a minute. But I want to gauge the audience here, all right? So here's the question. What percentage of your online income comes from webinars? So I'm going to click my little polls tab here, and I'm going to select my poll, and I'm going to click load and make results public to you. Okay, guys, so now you're taking a look at this. Now, what the responses are over 50% of my income, 20 to 50% of my income comes from webinars. I've tried webinars, but I'm not that good at them. I've never done a live webinar. And finally, I'm new, and I don't even have a business yet. All right? And I'm seeing them come in now. I'm going to give you guys about 15 more seconds to fill this in. All right? What's interesting to me is only 6% of you so far, from what I'm seeing, are saying 20 to 50% of your income comes from webinars. And and none of you, not a single one of you, have said over 50% of my income is coming from webinars. All right, so 10, 9, 8, 7. All right, guys, last few seconds, get your answers in, hit that button, do the poll, and I'm going to end the poll, and I'm going to make everything public for you guys. Okay, so now you guys are seeing the results on the side of your webinar room. So none of you said that you're doing 50% of your income. Only 6%, that's 1 out of 20 of you, are doing 20 to 50% of your income. About 20% of you said that you tried, but you're just not good at webinars. But don't worry, you're in the right place. Half of you have said you've never done a live webinar. And just under a third of you said that you don't have a business yet. Those are actually the best answers I could look for. We're actually helping every single person in every single category here. So that's pretty fantastic. I'm going to jump back into the slides here. And as I said, if you didn't respond with 50% or more, you're simply leaving a lot of money on the table. This doesn't apply, even if you're already making a lot of money with webinars. We had nobody say that they were making more than 50% of their income with webinars. All right, so let's jump into the content now. I think we gave a really good case for why you should be doing webinars. But now I'm going to teach you how to do successful webinars. I think it was important to do that format so that if I showed you how to do successful webinars, but I didn't make a case for why you should be doing it, then this information wouldn't mean anything to you. All right? Now here's a side note. When you registered for the page earlier today, it said that we're going to show you how you can double your webinar profits. Now, that's not actually true, in my opinion. I think that you'll be able to more than double your webinar profits. From what we've seen and the people that we've worked with showing these techniques, we have seen more than double of webinar profits, especially from people that are already crushing it with webinars. That's the interesting thing. So, but here's a little side note. Not one of these laws alone that I'm going to show you are going to double your webinar profits. All right? But each law can easily increase your overall profits by 20%. All right? And since there's 5 laws, when you apply the 20% to each of these 5 laws, then you can double your profits. But I'm so confident that I'm going to give you about 5 to 7 tips for each law. I'm pretty confident that if you're not doing some of these tips, just each one of these tips alone can add 20% to your webinar. So I think by the time we're done, you're probably going to have not 5 things, but probably about 10 to 15 things that could each add 20% to your webinar. And now we're talking about doubling, tripling, or even quadrupling your current profits on your webinar. Now, if that sounds pretty cool, let me know in the chat. Tell me you're excited. Say, yes, let's show me the real content. I'm ready. Type that in the chat there. And let me talk to you about these 5 laws, all right? So my business partner, Andy Jenkins, and I, we reverse engineered just over 100. We went through our webinars, 117 of the webinars that we've done online, and they got better and better and better. But we didn't stop there. We actually went to our Webinar Jam customers, and we looked at our top 100 Webinar Jam customers. Now, these guys have had over 30 million registrations in just our first year, and we think that's pretty cool. We were pretty impressed when we saw that stat. We actually found out that there were some powerhouse people doing financial niches like Forex in Australia and hypnosis out of the UK and all these different niches. I'm ready. Let's go. Let's go. Yes, I'm ready. Thanks, guys. We were blown away by how many people were outside of the internet marketing industry. If you hear that meowing in the background, guys, that's my cat. Quiet, Kenny. Actually, 9 out of 10 of the people that we interviewed were actually not even doing internet marketing type webinars. They were, like I said, in niches like personal development and hypnosis and law and health. It was amazing. And we interviewed 26 of these people. Some of them were guys like other top marketers like Russell Brunson, Anik Singhal, Eben Pagan, Brendan Bouchard, Jeff Walker, Steve Renton, and Bill McIntosh. They just did a nice webinar product on JVZoo called Webinar Alchemy. So we interviewed these guys, and we asked them these questions about what they do on their webinar. We noticed that there was a pattern. Each one of their answers broke down into one of these 5 laws. And I'm going to give you the best of these tips. I'll do my best to even give you a shout out to say who gave me that tip, okay? Because I'm not too proud to tell you that I get this information from other people, All right, I want you to know that. You attending this webinar is great, and if you quote something 7 years from now and say, I learned something from E. Brian Rose and Mike Filsaime, that's awesome, because all I am is a good student that applies these different things. So let's move on.
I love that you keep giving me credit when you're the one teaching. So keep doing that. Thank you.
And I've learned a lot from you guys, man. I know I look up to you guys. I'm impressed by you guys. You guys are, awesome, and I know that you guys have done this. You guys pioneered, with webinar swaps, man. I mean, it was great, and I was one of the people that did a webinar on it. So law number 1, if you're writing down your notes, the law of maximum registration. Law number 2. They're telling me the camera's not locked on me, guys. It's the best I can do, but I think we're good. I'll just keep talking; it'll stay on me. Law number 2: the law of maximum show rate. Here's the thing: Tony Robbins used to say, "I'm not interested in how many people bought tickets to our events." He was interested in something he called BIS, B-I-S. The only thing that matters is butts in seats, right? If people want to brag about, dude, my webinar page is converting at 70%. I'm going to be like, yeah, you probably used a little too much curiosity, and let me know what your show rates are, because I don't think that you promised to change somebody's life. I would rather get down somewhere around 40 to 50% conversion rate and have a higher show rate. And I'm going to show you some of the things that you do to have a maximum show rate, because getting people to register is one thing, it builds your list, but you've got to get them to show, right? And the proof that that stuff works is you guys are here right now. The next is the law of maximum stick rate. Okay, once we get the webinar, I'm going to show you how you keep people on. Because if people get on your webinar and they bounce out in 6 minutes, well, then again, it's just a waste of their time and your time and the people and your JV partners. Okay, law number 4: the law of maximum high converting offers. This is where where it all comes down to. You've gotten everybody onto the webinar, they've seen your training, being able to transition and close 20% or more of the people on your webinar for a price point of $497 or more. Oh my goodness, that's where full-time incomes come in. And I'm not talking full-time incomes of $50,000. I'm talking multiple 6-figure incomes and 7-figure incomes, okay? In fact, one of the guys that we learned from, that I'm going to be showing you some of their techniques as well, he recently did a product launch all with webinars. His name was Anik Singhal. He did $11.4 million all with webinars. They can even be used for selling affiliate products. There's guys like Jason Fladley, who I met at Marketing Mayhem at E. Brian Rose's event. And this guy is doing millions of dollars. He's the #1 affiliate selling other people's product, just doing webinars on it. So I think that's pretty cool. And finally, the 5th law is known as the law of echo. It's how to increase profits with replays. And stick around for this one. I have a tip that I guarantee is just going to absolutely blow you away. Something we started doing recently based on some of the numbers that we were looking at, and it really just threw our profits like right through the roof. All right? So let's break these laws down. Okay, the first law is the law of maximum registrations. I'm going to take a little sip here of my Diet Snapple Peach. Thank you, guys, and let's jump right back in. So the first thing you want to do is a process called name and codify. All right, name your process and your system, and then break it up into numbered steps. All right. You never want somebody looking at your registration page saying, "I know that." You only want them saying, "I need to know that." Okay? So when you say something like, "I'm going to teach you the viral marketing method of social media," people are going to say, "I know what viral marketing is," or "I think I know what that is," even if they don't know the way that you're going to teach it, right? I'm going to teach you guys stuff about webinars. If my bullet points would have done stuff like this, you would have said, "I already know that." So I use special terms that make you feel I need to know that, and can only leave you saying I don't know that. Guys, my first $1 million launch was a product in 2006, January 31st, 2006, of a product called Butterfly Marketing. And if you don't know what that is, that's a good thing, because that makes you say, that sounds pretty cool. What is that? And my premise was, chaos theory, the tiny little flapping of a butterfly's wings in over the ocean can turn a sunny day into a tsunami 3 years later. Right? It puts these tiny little changes into effect. I think you've all heard of the butterfly effect, right? So I put that premise into my marketing, and then I was able to use all types of things like the caterpillar method, the butterfly, all these different types of things. We do that with every single product that we do. And in fact, with this webinar right here, we're saying something as the 5 fundamental laws, right? That makes people say, I need to know that. Right? I don't want to say I'm going to give you the 5 tips, right? Okay, so that's the next thing. Guys, I'm going to fly through these because I have a lot of tips for you, and I'm going to do the best I can to break them down for you as we go through. Next, solve one big problem and do it with a big, bold promise. Don't ever be broad, or don't ever be generic, or don't say I'm going to teach you everything you need to know. When you came to this webinar, there was a promise, and that promise said simply, I'm going to show you how to double your webinar profits, or show you how to have a no-fail successful webinar even if you've never done one before. All right? Now here's the formula, guys. This is something, if I'm going to give you a tip today, this is the one that if you didn't remember anything, that can make you so much money over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, because you said, this one I tattooed on my left arm. Okay? This is called the really good without the really bad. If you ever need to write a subject line, if you ever need to write a headline, if you ever need to write a headline for a landing page, an opt-in page, a video sales letter, a sales letter, or a webinar page, what you do is you promise the really good without the really bad. Okay? So I'll give you an example. Lose 10 pounds in 10 days without exercise and without having to give up the foods you love, right? That's the really good without the really bad. Now, I made that up at the top of my head, but I think you get it, okay? So for us, it was double your webinar, even your webinar profits, even if you're already crushing it with webinars or have never done a webinar before, okay? So that's an important one. Next, telegraph the outcomes. You need to tell people what they will learn and how long it will take. Now, I'm going to show you a little shot of the registration page, a similar one that we used for this webinar, and how that works. But it's very important that people have a clear understanding of what the outcome is going to be when they get off the webinar, what they're going to learn, and how long it's going to take them to implement it. Okay? And finally, your bullets, they need to have curiosity and something that Eben Pagan calls self-assessment. Okay, so self-assessment will use things like, are you type A or type B? So I'm going to make one up right now. Are you a caterpillar or a butterfly? These 3 questions will let you know. We found that the butterflies have success 150% more than people that are caterpillars. We're going to find, I will give you the 3 questions and you'll find out on the webinar, and don't worry, if you're a caterpillar, I'm going to show you how to be a butterfly. Again, I'm staying in the theme because I said butterfly before, but again, I hope you're starting to see that, wow, I think that makes sense. It makes people want to say, I need to know which one of these things I am, all right? The next tip here is using urgency and immediacy, okay? This webinar is an event. It is special, and you need to be here live, and it can change your life. And if it can't change your life, or if I'm reading this registration page that you're asking me to come to, if it can't change my life, then why should I even waste my time? You know what will happen? They might enter their name and email address, but they're not going to show up. Okay? So when you make your registration page, don't just write the bullets in there. Spend an hour the first time. The beautiful thing is, once you do that, you can hit clone webinar every single time, 3 days a week for the next 2 years. But take the time at first to really make sure that you look at this page and say, does this page make me feel that if I was here for the first time, that this can change my life? And if it doesn't, you have to do a better job. Okay. Next, you want to use, when I say urgency and immediacy, make sure that there's a countdown timer so people know, okay, there's 5 hours left. Because, you know, we live in a world today where if you ask me what day it is, I honestly don't know if it's the 19th or the 23rd. All right. So People can put things in their calendar. Having a countdown timer really helps. Here's a cool conversion tip. Brian, I hope you love this one. We tested testimonials on landing pages, and they work everywhere in our business. It is one thing that we learned. Put a testimonial on your order page. Put a testimonial next to every feature. Put a testimonial next to every objection on your sales page with a testimonial of a person that had that problem and overcame the objection with your product. Testimonials work. They work in emails. They work everywhere. We tested testimonials on our webinar registration pages, and guess what we found? They depressed, which means they hurt conversions. Okay? Testimonials hurt conversions on a webinar registration page. So I'm going to ask you guys to type in the chat why you think testimonials hurt webinar registration.
Oh, I can tell you. I'll bet I know. I bet I know. I'll let them type first.
Okay.
I promise I'm not reading what they're typing. I'm not cheating.
Cool.
Here's my guess. Okay, you ready for it?
Yes.
It leads them to believe that something is going to be sold if there's testimonials.
Damn it, you are too good, my man. That's exactly right. You see what people are saying? They're probably written by your mother, sister, or brother. You know what's funny? The last few webinars I've done, people have said that they've probably been written by a friend and things like that. I think that's why it's important nowadays that we do these testimonials, with Facebook and in real time and stuff like that. But actually, EBR is 100% right. When you're telling somebody that you're going to do training, and there's somebody that says, I've purchased every product that E. Brian Rose has ever put out, I highly recommend his course. The customer may not even consciously realize, but subconsciously, something will be telling them this is a bait and switch. This is a con. There's something going on here that's not right. Why is he telling me he's going to be teaching me this, but this person is saying buy the course? Okay, so that's the exact reason why. Testimonials, guys, always work. So I know I can see some of the stuff that you're saying, but remember, testimonials always work, so always use them, but not on your webinar registration pages. So what you do want to use is what we call a topic-specific bio of the host. Because believe it or not, when somebody mails for your webinar, if you were to meet a JV partner at an event, or get somebody to mail for your webinar, they know that person very, very well. They don't know you. Now, I would probably suspect that a third of the people that are on this webinar, maybe 50% or maybe even more, have never heard of me. The last thing we ever want to do is think that we're having so much success that everybody knows us. If that's the case, then shut your add to cart buttons down because you found every customer. New people are coming on every day, and I'm having better years every year than the previous year, which only means there are people that are just hearing about me about the first time. Okay? So what you want to do is assume that nobody knows you and have a bio of who you are next to your picture. Okay? And have the bio be topic specific, and what that means is that if we're doing a webinar like today on webinars, we'd want to say something like, Mike Filsaime is creator of one of the best-selling webinar platforms and is one of the world's sought-out consultants on webinars. When he speaks about webinars, everyone listens. You want to make sure you attend, right? Guys, I'm making this copy up at my head, but you understand.
And Mike, one thing to point out is everybody in this audience can make a bio about themselves that sounds similar to that. They don't have to be a Mike Filsaime to have an impressive bio.
100% right. There's a reason why you're doing the webinar. You're the authority. So simply list whatever makes you passionate and gives you the authority to do this. You've been in the industry for 11 years, that type of stuff. All right? So that's that. I'm going to move on to the next tip, guys. I'm driving that one home because that one right there, that tip right there, put that on your next webinar registration page. You'll increase opt-ins by 20%. Right? Next, how to use endorsements. So third-party pre-framing endorsements. So if you're going to get a JV partner, we've tested this. You actually don't want to get your JV partner to put his video on the registration page telling them to register. What you want them to do is have a pre-landing page at their site that says something like this. Hey everybody, my name is E. Brian Rose, and we're going to be doing a special webinar. And they could do this with their iPhone in selfie mode, walking down the street around their block with their kids. And hey guys, I wanted to take this quick second out of my day to let you know that tomorrow, or whatever, that on April 20th, we're going to be doing a webinar with Mike Filsaime. Now, here's why I want you to get on there. Number one, number two, number three, simply do me a favor, click the link right below this video, and it's going to take you to that webinar registration page. Okay, that's called pre-framing. And that right there, that tip alone, gets a strong endorsement from the JV partner who the customer already has a relationship with. And they are telling them about how cool you are, and then let the registration page do its job. We found that putting that video on the registration page is competing with the main offer. You would have E. Brian Rose talking about me when the page is talking about the benefits for you to get on the webinar. So I hope that makes sense, that you want to have a separate page with just a video and a link that then goes to the registration page. Cool conversion tip number 2, results in advance. Tell them that they will get a free training PDF or video just for registering. Now, for the purpose of moving forward, I'm going to just go right past that one, guys. That simply means that after they opt in, you give them an instant video or a PDF, and that actually is going to lead us to law number 2. So here's my question to everybody. Do you think that just one of these tips can increase your registration rate by 20%? All right? If so, let me know in the chat. Say, yes, I think one of those tips. Let me know if you're excited about using all of those 8 tips that I just went over with you. All right? And type that into the chat, and I'll look out for that as I start to continue, because I don't want to wait while you're typing to do that. Now, guys, that was just law number 1. All right? We've got 4 more to go, and I'm going to start boogieing. Now, I need your permission. Being that I'm going to give you guys copies of these slides for your time, I know it's busy and it's late, especially on the East Coast, especially you guys in the UK, I want your permission that I could pick up the pace and go even faster without skipping any of the content. I promise I'm going to give you great content. I'm just going to make my voice go a little bit quicker. All right, you guys are saying yes. Thank you. Now, don't worry, you're going to get the slide.
Yes in drones, hundreds of yeses.
All right, thanks, guys, because I want to get moving. All right, so law number 2. This is how we get them to show up. Ready? It's called short cycle promotion. Limit webinar promotions to 3 days max. I know these 2 guys named E. Brian Rose and Brian Zimmerman, and I said, hey, do you guys want to do a webinar with me? And they said, yeah, I'll do it on Monday. And I said, okay, cool. When do you want to start mailing? Friday or Saturday? And they said, no, Mike, believe it or not, we usually mail 1 email the day before and 2 to 3 emails the day of. And I was like, really? That is interesting. Now remember, guys, remember I told you I was going to give you shout-outs to people that I've learned from? I learned this from E. Brian Rose and Brian Zimmerman. They told me that simply tell people there's a webinar today, and people can't forget. They're like, at noon, there's going to be a webinar at 5? Awesome. And they show up, and you get higher show rates to your webinars. People think that you need to do a webinar promotion 14 days in advance. Oh, come on. I love the show that was on every Monday night called Better Call Saul. I would forget that it was on if I didn't get a reminder, right? So we can't plan out that far ahead, guys. We have to make sure. We have to make sure that we keep our campaigns limited to 2 to 3 days. And I love the fact that you guys did this in 1 day. Next thing, on your thank you page after people register, this is what I call get your house in order. Give the customer steps to take. Step 1, add this to your calendar. Step 2, share this. Step 3, whitelist your email. Step 4, enter your phone number in here so you can get a text message. Now, you guys might have noticed that when you got on our thank you page, we then asked you for your text message. Now, we used to ask for that on the front end of the webinar, and we found that it hurt conversions. But we know that it's important, so now we put it on the thank you page. But we give our users a choice. They can put it wherever they want in our software. Next thing is start the training immediately. Give them a video, an audio, a PDF, a mind map, something, a blog post, anything related that's going to pique their interest. Now, here's the important thing. The training that you give them should never make them feel like they don't want to attend. okay? You never want to make them feel, oh, well, if I have this now, let me go practice that Facebook method, and then maybe I'll decide to get on the webinar. No, you want to give them something that shows you an authority, has quick tips. I like to say something, I got this one from Alex Mondosian. Give them a copy of your slides and have words put out in blanks, put underscores, right? And then say, here's your cheat sheet to take notes on the webinar. EBR, I think this one is great. I think that tip is great. The cheat sheet with the missing stuff.
You know, I've talked to Alex a lot of times, and I've never heard this tip. That is a great one that I am actually writing down right now that I am going to use.
Awesome, right? It's like, here are the slides, but all of the stuff that has the golden nuggets is like, it makes them want to show up to fill in those blanks. That's called the Zeigarnik effect. It works really, really well. Next tip here. Ethical bribery to show up. Promise them something that will be given away at the start of the webinars for those who attend early. All right? So you want to say, hey, guys, excuse me, just for showing up early. All right? If you show up, we're going to do a raffle because I like punctuation and I've got a lot to show you. So here's the deal. The first person that when you guys all show up, at exactly 1 minute past the hour, I'm going to look in the chat and I'm going to randomly click my mouse, and whoever I click on is going to win a new Apple Watch. That's right. A $359 Apple Watch is going to be yours for free, but if you show up 2 minutes late, you're going to be seeing somebody else say, I can't believe I won that Apple Watch. So make sure to attend. Now, guys, if you know your metrics and you know how much money that you're making on each webinar, and you know, again, I always like to say results not typical, disclaimer, disclaimer. But if you know that you're making $3,000 to $5,000 on each webinar, well, then of course you want to give away an Apple Watch to get people on, right? Makes sense? Don't be scared to do it, but only after you've proven your webinar to convert and you know the metrics, okay? Next, the sneak peek. All right, this you send out a PDF the day before. Tell them what they're going to learn. Let them know that there will be an offer and that the offer is not for everyone. It's only for people that want X, Y, Z out of their life. Here's where you start talking about the promised land. I see people laughing here. I noticed this had a 5-minute notice. Thanks, guys. Keep up the chat. I appreciate it. I'm reading it as you're putting it. You want to let people know what they're going to be learning. This is all part of an indoctrination process. And guys, this is the final tip of law number 2. So if you're typing, stop typing for a second. This is where you want to get the pen and write this one down. This is the best tip of all of them. This is called the late breaking news email. It's the secret tip that will only be available live on the replay. And you say in the email, guys, I told you I was going to teach you X, Y, and Z. However, we just tested something out with our team that worked so well, we're going to be sharing it with you early on the webinar tomorrow. But here's the thing. This is working so powerful, we don't want the secret out there on YouTube and out there living on the internet. So this is only going to be available if you show up live. Once we're done with the webinar, we're going to edit that portion out, and it will not be available in the replay. So if you want to learn the latest awesome tip that just gave us this result in our business, you'll have to attend live. I love that. I learned that from a guy named Jeremiah Demery. I'm gonna start using that more and more in our webinars. I just absolutely love that tip. Remember, you want to make sure you get people live. So this was very similar to the registration. As I told you, I did this webinar 3 times over the last few days. Identical webinar to the type of page that you just signed up for. All right. So as you can see here, do you know the 5 must-do laws that instantly double your webinar profits? We had a countdown timer. I used the bullet points, right? Learn our simple no-fail process. Testimonials on registration pages. Do they help conversions or do they kill conversions? The answers will shock you. You can see I'm actually teaching you all the stuff that I promised, which is very important. But you see, I did it in a way that was curiosity, right? I didn't say I'm going to show you how using a bio on your landing page increases conversions by 20%. I say things like the simple 3-step process, the huge mistake most marketers are making it. Are you doing it in your business, right? Okay, so I'm glad that you're going to be getting these slides because this is something that you can do in your business, guys. This is something you can model in your business. And finally, take a look right here. Attention. Many of the tips we need to keep guarded and will be edited out of the replay. So make sure you register and attend live. Cheat sheets and notes will be provided, but only if you're live, right? And look at the amount of people that we got to show up live in one day on this webinar. It's incredible. And I believe some of those things, all of these things compounding are what did it. So let's move on to law number 3. This is stick rate. Getting people on the webinar is one thing. Making sure they don't leave is paramount. I'm looking, we had a peak. We are just 9 people short of the peak. That means we've only had 9 people leave this webinar. So far, things are going pretty well. I'm practicing what I preach, and I want you guys to be able to do this as well. So here's what you need to know. Structure equals success. So when you're doing your webinars, and what I call selling webinars, there are 4 parts. And guys, when I say selling, never be ashamed. Deborah says that's why I attended. Thanks, Deborah. Never ever be ashamed to be selling. All right? Selling is a good thing. Selling is simply a math equation of value being exchanged. And nobody ever gives you money unless they believe that the value that you can provide them is equal to or greater than the money that you're giving. So never ever feel bad about somebody buying your product. I understand you don't like the term selling, but you do want people to buy your products, right? And that's what's great about webinars, is you really don't have to sell. All right, so it breaks down into the introduction, the content, the transition, and then the close. So the first thing we have to remember when we're doing webinars is something called eyes, ears, and fingers. All right, and what that means is get the attendees engaged early and often, and use things like polls, get them into the chat, and have them stick around, and make sure yourself you do a Q&A and read every question that the people attend. People type in. People love this type of stuff. Now, you guys saw me do that, right? Guys, if I give you great content, do I have your permission to give you an offer? But only at the end, I'll ask you if the content was good enough. And without your permission, I won't give the offer. Type yes in the chat if that was okay. And you guys all typed yes. There were 2 things that happened there. Number 1, I got your fingers involved. I engaged you. Number 2 is something that I want you to use this, because it's something called commitment and consistency. If I can get you to commit to listening to an offer, you're more likely to stay consistent and actually buy that offer, okay? And again, I would never expect you to buy. You're the person that puts the credit card in. I would never expect you to buy unless you were happy. But the reason why people don't buy, here's the number 1 reason why people don't buy on webinars. Ready? They never see the offer. The webinar wasn't structured right with an introduction, content, transition, and then close. So people never saw the offer, and people just aren't buying. You don't need to sell, but people won't buy if you're not doing your webinars right. All right, next, make a big promise. My very first slide, as soon as EBR said, Mike, take it over, my very first slide says, here's my promise to you. I promise that over the next hour, X, Y, Z, okay? Telegraph your offer, but do it right, get permission, and earn it, right? I think it's important. Because like I said to you, I said, how many of you guys thought that we'd be making an offer today? Every single person said, I knew there'd be an offer, right? So, you know, when you try to hide around that fact and end your presentation and go, here's my next slide. Guys, I'm going to talk to you about a new product. You know, people are like, that just got awkward, right? So by telling people that you have an offer, but only if you give good content, then you'll ask permission. Man, it just makes things so great, and your customers actually love you for it. Next, start with your story. It's very, very important that people know that you were not always perfect, okay? You need to let them know about how life was like for you. And many people will actually have empathy and identify with you and say, wow, I didn't know that Mike Filsaime was there. So I'll give you my 30-second story. I worked in the car business. I worked 28 days a month. I worked my way up to general manager. When I was a general manager, I was making $100,000 a year. I thought I was hot shit back then. You know, at that time, my wife didn't work, so it was really like having 2 salaries that make $50,000 a year. And living on Long Island, that didn't go very far. I worked 28 days a month. I worked 75 hours a week, and I would wake up at 7 in the morning and get home at 11:30 at night. In the car business, it was hard, and I lived paycheck to paycheck. And when I would leave one job to another, sometimes that would take 2 months. I actually went bankrupt, guys, in 1997. Fully bankrupt. Not ashamed to say it. I think it's a mark of many entrepreneurs. I wish I didn't, but I didn't have any choice. I actually had to sell my wife's engagement ring that we had paid $15,000 for. Guess what? I put it on a credit card that I couldn't afford. Okay? And I had to sell it. I had to break her heart. And then I had to burn my dad's encyclopedia because I didn't have enough money to buy oil and firewood. And the pipes broke when it was 0 degrees Fahrenheit, not Celsius. I'm sorry, Tony, if the profanity turned you off. I do apologize, and I mean that sincerely. I'm speaking natural while I'm on the webinar. I'll make sure I don't say that again in the webinar. Thanks for letting me know. I was just being a little bit authentic there, but I do apologize. And our pipes broke, and we had 1 foot of water, frozen water in the house at 0 degrees Fahrenheit. It was absolutely freezing. I've been there. I know what it was like. I knew that when I had $3, I used to have to reach into my couch and look around and go into my glove compartment and look around for a quarter and then 3 more pennies, because I knew that I could go to McDonald's and get 2 cheeseburger meals, French fries, and an orange drink for $2.99 plus the 8% tax, and for about $3 1/4 I could eat for that day while I wasn't working. I knew what it was like not to have clean clothes and didn't have the money to go to you got it, Tony and Roxanne. I knew what it was like not to be able to go to the cleaners, and I'd have to go on job interviews with wrinkled suits. So guys, I'm telling you my actual story, but I want you to know that if you're identifying and say, wow, I never knew that about Mike, okay? People need to know that you were there, but then you say, but here's what happened. I had this eureka moment. Somebody shared a tip with me, or I stumbled across this, and here's what happened. And then from the eureka moment, you need to tell people what happened after that, what were your results, what happened when you shared it with people, what are their results, that you want to share it with them today, and let me show you what that is. And then that's your training. That's your transition to the training, and you share that eureka moment. And then from there, you can go into the close. All right? So let's move on. You establish your credibility. When you do your story, you should let them know who you are and why they should listen to you. And it's okay to imply this stuff. You don't want to have slides saying how great you are. All right? I hate when people put up slides that say things like, I did my first $1 million here. I did, I was the first one to do this. I've spoke on Fox News. You don't necessarily want to do that because that's like bragging, okay? What you want to do is you want to make sure. I'm sorry, Roxanne. I was just reading your text there. And again, I hope you guys are okay with it, and we can move on from that. The part about the credibility and telling people who you are, weave it into your story. So if you want to tell people, like for instance, if I wanted to say things, I would say, I remember when I met Tony Robbins and I was doing some consulting for him. He asked me a question, and here's the tip that I gave him. You see, if I weave it in my story, you can say, wow, that's pretty cool. Mike actually consulted for Tony Robbins. But if I put it on a bullet point, then that's like me taking a picture of Richard Branson and using that as my Facebook photo. And I see that a lot. And I look at that, it's silly. It's like, come on. You paid $50,000 to get to Necker Island. That's why you have a photo with Richard Branson. So I think that it's better when these things are implied. All right? Thank you, Roxanne. I appreciate that. All right. Open loops. Okay? Guys, you've seen me do this all along, and I'm going to start moving a little bit quicker here because we've got just two more laws after this, and we're done. All right? You're going to learn all of this. Now, let's start with number 1. Okay, these are examples, right? So I said to you, I'm going to teach you these 5 laws, but let's start with number 1. I showed you the 5 laws first. Again, that created, with the Zeigarnik effect, that is something that says that people need to know how things will end, all right? So by showing you the tips first and then saying let's break them down, that works well. You may have noticed I said things like, I promise to show you this later, but first, okay? Or I have a secret bonus for you at the end where I'm going to be doing Q&A, all right? These are called opening loops. People don't like loops that are open that don't get closed, so they want closure, so they tend to stick around, okay? Before and after. Show the results of taking action with the information and the consequences for not applying the information or even taking the special offer. Guys, this is something called the promised land. You really want to make sure that people not only know that there is something very good that can happen when they take advantage of your offer, but you also want to let them know that there's a consequence for not applying the information that they're learning on the webinar, and that will also translate into your offer later, all right? There is a consequences. Prices go up, bonuses go away, you get stuck in the same rut. It doesn't give you an opportunity to try something with money-back guarantees. So that type of stuff is very important. And finally, at the very end of your training, you want to do a recap. Okay, you want to recap the value of what they've learned. Many people don't always pay attention, and this is how you transition to your close, by showing them what they learned and then asking them if they liked it. All right, moving on to law number 4, probably what everybody considers the most important law. This is how you actually get people to buy from you. All right, so Stephen Covey says, begin with the end in mind. All right, if you did all of the steps so far, guys, you won't have to sell. The customers will want to buy from you even before you make the offer. And if I did my job today, hopefully a couple of you are excited to at least see what I have to offer you that you could at least consider, right? This point should never feel icky or pushy. You should not have any anxiety as the person that's on the webinar, as an attendee, or the presenter. And guys, I'm being as transparent as I can today with you guys. Because you know, like I said to you, I'm going to ask you if the content was good, will there be an offer, and all these types of things in mind. This is a very interesting dynamic. Wouldn't you agree that I'm on a webinar teaching you how to do webinars, and you're seeing me actually use what I'm teaching as I'm training you, right? Pretty interesting dynamic. All right. Now, here's a really, really good tip. This is a writer-downer. You want to, it's called ensuring the success with bonuses. Make the bonus the reason the people buy. This is Brendan Bouchard. Brendan Bouchard says, Mike, people can buy my products all the time. All the time. They could go to my websites and buy the products. He says, when I'm on a webinar, I want to make the bonus offer so good that people are buying because of the bonus. All right, not the product. Let people buy just for the bonuses being so good, and of course they're happy to get the product. But if you do this right, when you could start seeing this at live events. I saw Russell once do an offer for ClickFunnels. I forgot he was selling ClickFunnels. His bonuses were so good, I wanted to buy it, and I already owned ClickFunnels. Okay, I've had people with some of the bonuses that Andy Jenkins and I put together sometimes for different launches that we promote. I've had people text me, laugh out loud, you son of a gun. I just purchased this product from so-and-so, and I already own it. I text them back, why would you buy it? And they're like, I just wanted to get the bonus you guys are offering. All right? That's how powerful bonuses can be. Next, bonuses need to overcome objections. When you later buy Webinar Jam Studio, hopefully, if there's an objection about webinars, well, I need to address that with a bonus, right? So I need to say something like, don't worry, we have Webinar Genesis that can teach you how to do webinars, right? Urgency and scarcity. This is very simple. This is very, very simple. People always sometimes write to our help desk, I don't understand, why can't I get the special now that it's over? Well, here's how I like to say it, and it's a little tongue-in-cheek. It's very simple. If it's special, then it must expire, and it can only be for a certain amount of time and only for a certain amount of people and the first people that take it. Why? Well, because that is exactly how specials work. Otherwise, they wouldn't be specials, right? If it's the same price every day, then it's not special. When we go to the supermarket and we see Cheerios or buy one get one free until Sunday, we can't come back on Monday and expect to get the cereal buy one get one free. We have to pay full price. So having specials with urgency and scarcity really drives sales. All right. Finally, final tip here, this is called living in the promised land. You need to make absolutely certain that the attendee can visualize and see and feel themselves with the result that they want after actually using your product. Now, that's a lot of words, so I'm going to break that down for you. What that means is, don't focus on all the modules in your course. In Module 1, I'm going to show you this. In Module 2, you don't want to do that when you're talking about your product. All right? That's like saying, if you have a health product, as it says here, don't focus on the sit-ups. Focus on the six-pack abs. All right? So you don't want to say things like, when you buy my product, you're going to be juicing in the morning, limited to a 200-calorie breakfast. You're going to do 3 sets of 60 sit-ups, 4 sets of 50 push-ups. You're going to walk a mile around the block and go up 3 flights of stairs. All right. Now that may very well be in the case, and you could tell them, I promise you, if you promise to work hard, I promise you results. You can use language like that. But you really want to let them know, imagine what life will be like when you lose the 10 pounds, when your skin complexion looks better, when you no longer have acne, when you have those toned arms, you have that six-pack abs, your thighs are tight, you no longer have the jelly, you have that tight butt that you've always wanted. Imagine being able to wear the clothes that you haven't worn in several years. Imagine how much more confident you'll be at work. What will that do for you? Will it get you a promotion, maybe a raise? Will you do better in sales? Those types of things, okay? Those are the types of things that you want to talk about. So if I'm talking about the promised land of webinars, I would say things like, look guys, making money online is great. And being able to do a webinar that does 3,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 or 30,000 in sales is an incredible feeling. Now, I can't promise anybody here that they'll have those results, but you know what that number is. And whatever that number is of what you would like to be doing on a webinar 2 or 3 times a week, and then multiply that by 4, how many times you'd be doing that a month if you can make 3,000 per webinar and you're doing 10 to 12 a month, what would that mean to you? Would that mean that you go to bed sleeping better at night? Focus, right, with a U, not an O. Yeah, typo on there. Sorry, Joe. What would that mean to you? Would it mean that you don't have to stress at night over the bills? Would it possibly mean a better relationship? Would it mean that you don't have to stress about putting your kids to college or putting yourself to college or money for retirement or going on vacation? What am I doing right now, guys? I'm talking about the life that I live, the life that my clients live, and we call this the promised land. Okay? So we want to make sure that we're telling people that this is what the promised land looks like. All right? Next, the law of echo. This is the 5th law, and then we're wrapped up here, guys. The law of echo is how to increase your profits with replays and encore webinars. All right? So I went backwards. Apologize. I keep doing that. Before you do a replay, do an encore live webinar to the people that missed your live webinar. Now, what we found, that person per person, if you invite people to a replay or a live webinar, the show rates are about the same. Now, I'm going to tell you something, and this statistic, it's just horrible, but it happens to be true. People that show up on a live webinar are 70% more likely to stay on the webinar until the end. On a replay, they're 70% more likely to leave in about 10 minutes. Now, here's why. Replays are like what I spoke to you about earlier today. They're interruptive marketing. They're getting an email that says, here's the replay. And webinars tend to run about an hour to an hour and a half. So the webinar starts, they're interested, and guess what they do? They bookmark it and say, I'm going to come back later. And they never, come back. Now, you do get a lot of people on the replay, and they're important. Now, here's what we do. We do something called an encore. Now, because Webinar Jam Studio automatically records your webinar onto your YouTube channel, and because Webinar Jam Studio automatically has this awesome built-in feature called the video engine for hybrid webinars, you can actually invite everybody to a live webinar the next day and say, hey, in case you miss it, E. Brian Rose and I are going to do an encore webinar on Tuesday at 5 p.m. And then when people register for that, what happens is I actually show up. EBR doesn't have to show up. As soon as the webinar starts, I click start and then I click load video. Now I actually did this yesterday, believe it or not, guys, with a marketer named Stephen Renton. We did a live one the other day, and yesterday we did another live one. He didn't even have to show up. We had incredible show rates, and what happened was it was incredible. We loaded up the room. Everybody was watching the very same presentation I'm giving right now. You couldn't tell. My camera would show up and all these different things, and they kept thinking that I was live. And we were in there monitoring the chat, and guess what I did at the end? Right when the webinar ended, I popped in live and did Q&A. I mean, how cool is that? I had a presentation done for me. So the bottom line that I want to drive through for you here is when you're going to do your next webinar or replay, simply take the recording and use our technology for hybrid webinars and let it do the presentation. You know, my mouth is getting dry. I think you can actually hear that. I don't need to say the same words again tomorrow when I said them perfect here today. I can sit back, have some coffee, have a countdown timer that tells me there's 11 minutes left in the video, and when it's done, I pop in and I do Q&A and I say, how is that, guys? Right? Maybe I just have to remember to wear the same shirt. All right? I'm going to go through real quick through these last couple of tips so we can move quick here. Pre-frame your replay. Things like, hey, we just got off the webinar. If you missed it, it was amazing. We talked about this, this, and this. 10 minutes into the webinar, we discussed this secret tip. 40 minutes into the webinar, I believe this one tip can increase your conversions by 20%, right? You want to resell them on why to get there. And finally, this is something that comes built into Webinar Jam Studio. It's called segmentation. You can do custom messages depending on the behavior. So if somebody showed up to your didn't show to your webinar, you could send them one message. If somebody showed up to your webinar but left early, you can send them another message. If they didn't see the offer, you could send them another message. If they did see the offer but didn't buy, you could send them another message. And if they did see the offer and they bought, maybe you could send them another message like a thank you, or maybe another webinar that invites them to a live event. This is all segmented for you automatically with Webinar Jam if you're wondering. Last 3 tips here for you guys. Escalate reasons to watch the replay. All right, so you can do things like, hey, we just offered a new price plan. A lot of you people said that you saw the first half of the webinar and asked us to put a scrub bar on there, so we've added a scrub bar. So different reasons to get the replay out. All right, and finally, this content can be used over and over and over and over again, right? So now matters, all right? So evergreen proof your webinars. I actually made a mistake today. I said something about Better Call Saul, right? Now, if that show goes off the air, this webinar is not going to sound very fresh in 2 years, so I hope it stays on the air. All right, so leave out anything about dates, anything that screams 2000 late, right? If people hear you talking about the Breaking Bad finale last night, how awesome was that? Suddenly, what they thought was an interesting webinar that was timely, and they're watching a replay, they suddenly realize that this thing is 2 years old, and their whole brain just goes on the blitz, and suddenly they just don't see your content as relevant anymore. And finally, live on like a profit magnet. Take your webinars. Not only do you want to put them up on YouTube, but you want to repurpose the content in many mediums. Get them transcribed, put them up on your blog as articles, as blog posts. You can turn them into PDFs. Break your videos down into chunks. I could probably chunk this video into easily just 5 laws, and then I could probably take each of the tips that I gave you and made them 3-minute videos on YouTube. I could send this out to the Philippines, hire somebody to do this, probably cost me about $50, and they could probably get me back 50 videos, and they would load it to my YouTube channel, put the proper title, description, and links and tags in there, and just one webinar like this I could repurpose for 50 different videos on YouTube on many different tips, and then each link under there would link to a webinar or to Webinar Jam Studio. Okay, so here's a quick recap of what we learned. You only have to improve in 5 areas, and each area you only have to improve by 20%. And those 5 areas were the registration, the show rate, your stick rate, your offer and your close, and your replay strategy. Okay, that's the only areas that you need to focus on when doing webinars, and that's how you double profits or start your own no-fail webinar. Okay, guys? So here's my question for you. Why did I share this with you today? Well, it's pretty simple. This is stuff that we've charged money for in the past, but we did this so that you would actually take the notes. We actually want to get you using webinars. Now, here's why. It's in my best interest for you to be using and doing webinars and being really good at them, right? Because there's really two solutions out there that are enterprise. There's two solutions out there. So I'm not selling you on webinar information. I have nothing for you to buy today on webinar information. I have a bonus that gives you webinar information, but nothing on webinars. That's why I gave it away for free today. I wanted to make sure, number one, that you know why webinars are so important and how to do them. Number two, I want to make sure that you take action and actually do webinars. And number three, that you do webinars with the best and the most affordable software out there. All right, so Webinar Jam is celebrating 1 year of being around. We have over 20,000 of the world's best marketers that either switched from GoToWebinar or started doing webinars with Webinar Jam Studio. And as I said earlier, they have done over 30 million registrations to our landing pages with our software, and we think that's pretty cool. So here's the question I'm going to ask you. I know that we had limited time, and I really wanted to respect that, and I tried to cram a lot in there, probably 2 hours worth of content in an hour and 20 minutes, and it was so far all content. Now, given the time we had, here's where you guys can type in the chat. Did we do a good enough job today of giving you stuff, even if you left the room right now, even if you were to leave the room right now, did we do a good enough job that you could take the information that we gave you and use it in your business tomorrow? So let me know in the chat by saying yes. Let me know if this was worth your time. And then I'm going to assume that you say yes. I've pre-made this.
And as predicted, the chat box is exploding with yeses.
Yeah,
yes,
that's pretty brave.
Yeses.
I'm putting right here. So let's see what everybody says. All right, guys. And I'm going to give you guys a couple more seconds. Here they are, come flying in. Yes, yes, Steve.
Yes.
Lawrence,
Bill
yes,
says
Bill,
yes, great.
yes.
Linda says this was awesome.
Roxanne, that was my question. What is the difference between GoToWebinar and Webinar Jam? I'll tell you. Don't worry, Roxanne, we'll tell you. While we're these Yeppers awesome tips, yes, I can. Hell yeah. I'm sorry, I had to read that, Tony. Somebody said hell yeah. I'm not Tony, you know, you actually frazzled me. You got the sweat coming off my brow when I saw that. I truly didn't mean to offend. So thanks for letting me off the hook there. All right, guys, you all said yes. You love it. So pretty brave of me. So I'm going to give you the best reason ever to be doing webinars. I have permission to give you my offer. You like what you saw here. So let's go. All right, Webinar Jam Studio. It's not only the most powerful webinar platform in the world. Now remember, Webinar Jam first came out to compete with GoToWebinar. They were very similar. The difference was GoToWebinar costs $499 a month. And when you pay monthly, that's about $5,900 a year. They do have a discount at $399 if you pay annually for about $4,800 a year. $4,800 a year, and they limit you to 1,000 attendees. All right. So the main difference from the original Webinar Jam was that it gave you unlimited webinars, and it gave you a price of $279 a year, not per month. $279 a year. It's about $25 a month. All right. So not only is it the most powerful webinar platform in the world, it's also available at a ridiculously low price, and we realize that, and we are raising the price of this on Wednesday by 33%. We've had a good run in our first year. We think we're crazy that GoToWebinar has over 100,000 customers paying $499 a month, and we were at $279 a year. So we're raising it, but don't worry, not for you today. All right. Webinar Jam Studio includes many of the cutting-edge tech innovations that we have in our $50,000 studio, like our TriCasters, all the stuff we built into Webinar Jam Studio. It's not limited to 1,000 attendees. You have unlimited attendees. You get unlimited webinars, unlimited hosting of all your pages and your replay pages and everything for you. It gives you unlimited traffic. You can send as many visitors as you want. You have unlimited sales, you get unlimited replays, etc. So here's something new that we have. It's called Attendee Spotlight. EBR, I don't even know if you know we have this feature. So let me tell you what Attendee Spotlight is. Anybody right now, any single person right now can raise their hand in this room, and I can bring them into the webinar. I can invite anybody I want. So if I see a celebrity, or if I saw Brian Zimmerman pop in the room, I can actually click on his name, and then he will get something that says, by clicking this, your microphone will go on and your camera will go on, and they join in. Now, this is why this is great, Attendee Spotlight. Number one, I can use it for Q&A at the end. Number two, Brian, you do events, EBR. You've seen at your events where somebody tells the people that bought their product, hey, I'm going to call on you at the end of my presentation. Do you mind telling people what you think of my program? And then sure. And the guy's like, hey, I want to introduce you to somebody named John. John, if we can get him the microphone. And John says, hey, I just want to let you know I started working with these guys about 3 months ago, and what they've taught me has done this for my business. You can now do that.
Sure, it's a live testimonial, and it's way more powerful than any other type of testimonial when the guy is right in front of you actually talking live.
And when you're done, you simply hit a button. And
yeah, that's
so
huge.
Great for Q&A, great for recognizing a celebrity, great for testimonials, and here's the other thing.
That's awesome.
We actually put a little tracking code that we give you a tracking code that you can put on your thank you page if you want. And then every single time somebody buys, in the chat, a little shopping cart button shows up right next to them. Okay? And so I can see the people that are buying, and I could, let's say Terry was to buy, or Joe DeSilva. I could click on Joe, and I could say, invite him in, and if he all of a sudden I hit bink, hey, Joe DeSilva, how are you? Hey, Mike, how are you? So, Joe, so you just bought. What was it that made you buy it? Mike, you know, I've been using GoToWebinar, blah, 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 and I'm talking for Joe. This isn't the case. I'm just saying he could say something like, I never knew you had that Attendee Spotlight feature. Once I saw that, I had to buy, right? So how powerful is that? And finally, if you're doing coaching, right, and you have, let's say, live coaching day with your coaching clients, and okay, so I'm going to click on, let's see, we're going to click on Ruth now, and Ruth, she comes in. So Ruth, what happened? Well, let me show you my page. Okay, Ruth, go ahead. Share your screen and show us your landing page. And then, so you could use this to, you know, for live events, many different things. It's absolutely crazy. But we've got a few more features here. Next, as we said, GoToWebinar's $4.99 per month. It's $6,000 a year, and they can't do this. The only way GoToWebinar can do it is you raise your hand and you come in over on a telephone or something, and you sound like, yeah, this is E. Brian Rose, and I just wanted to ask a question. And it just sounds like terrible. We get people in high definition, so you can invite them to show up in HD quality, CD quality audio. They can share their screen, all that stuff. As I said, great for live interviews, live testimonials, and we make it easy for people to attend. It doesn't matter what internet capable device they're on, anything. They simply click on a link, and here's another cool feature. You will never, ever, ever forget to record your webinars. Now, EBR, you owned Webinar Swaps. Back in the day,
right.
You used to, I know you're not, you don't run that anymore, but when you owned it 3-4 years ago, and you guys use GoToWebinar, I know you love them. This is, these are both great platforms, and you can make a lot of money using either one. So if you're doing webinars, that's good. All right. Did you ever do a webinar where you forgot to hit the record button?
Oh yeah, not just once. I can probably count 15 times in a year that we forgot to do that. And man, yeah, that's just money that you were throwing away. You might as well just dump a pile of money into the ocean.
Have you ever emailed your list saying, "Hey guys, we promised a replay. We forgot to record. Did anybody happen to record it?" Have you ever done that? I've done that.
I've reached out. I haven't sent a mass email out to the audience, but I have reached out to people that I suspected were recording, and we retrieved a couple of recordings that way. But it was never more than 1 or 2 times that we got saved. The rest were just gone forever.
Yeah. Here's why you forget to record. It's called the lobby. You're in the room before you get started, and you're saying things like, "Hey Brian, can you hear me?" "Yeah, Mike, I can hear you." "All right, so who's gonna start this?" Brian, why don't you start it? You tell them to shut off their Skype and all that, and then turn it over to me. And you're like, "Okay, cool, that sounds good. All right, it's right on the hour. You ready to go?" "I'm ready to go. Let's start the recording." "Hey everybody, we're live." And you know what? You're so focused on going live, you forgot to hit the second button that says record. And it happens all the time. Doesn't happen with Webinar Jam Studio. There is no record button. It's automatically recorded. and backed up for you on your YouTube channel. And here's the most awesome thing about that, that within like minutes after you're done with a webinar, it's already on your YouTube channel. So I write my go watch the replay emails while I'm setting up my webinar, because Webinar Jam already knows the links, and I set it to go out about an hour after the webinar. And I could go out to dinner the second we're done with this, and I know that the replay is going out. When you use GoToWebinar, I don't know if it's on the next slides, but when you use GoToWebinar, you had to download the webinar. You then had to pull it into Camtasia or After Effects, or or Adobe Premiere, or ScreenFlow. You had to render this massive file down to something that sounds like this at the end, with radio quality sound and just terrible audio and video on the recording, and then you have to load it back up to a place to play the video. But you're not done yet. You then have to make a page, time your add to cart button, all that stuff. All right, we don't do that for you. With us, you don't have to do any of that stuff. We have something called Replica Replay. Brian, can I call you Brian? Can I just call you Brian? EBR is just the old stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's either that or I'm going to call you E or EB, so I'm just going to call you Brian. All right, so we have something that's called Replica Replay. So I don't know if you know this, but this is the way this works. When somebody comes to our replays, they actually show up in an exact environment of exactly what everybody's seeing right now. We record the chats down to the millisecond. So when I say, is that pretty cool, everybody? The chat starts exploding with, yes, that's cool, can't wait, awesome, go for it. If I do a poll, it automatically shows the poll. When I click the Add to Cart button, which I'm going to do right now, I'm going to show a little offer here. I'm going to select our offer, Webinar Jam Studio Special, and I'm going to click Load. And we're going to set that for 30 minutes with a countdown timer. There you go, guys. Now, if you want to get started, go right ahead. You haven't even seen the bonuses, but I'm showing an example. So this is going to happen exactly in the replay without me having to do anything. I don't even have to show up. My polls show, the chat shows, everything happens in an exact replica of what happened when it was live. Replica Replay. People seeing the chat happen live makes them feel good. It makes them feel like, wow, I'm in a room with everybody. So it records the live chat, the polls, the pop-in add to cart buttons, our surveys, the pre-recorded videos that I told you, with the hybrid webinars. It takes care of all that. It does. So next thing, we have something called active offers. That's what you're just seeing right here. So I can actually put a picture of my product, as you're seeing on the right side of the screen. I can put a name. I can put any text I want into the Add to Cart button, and the people can actually just click. There's actually a clickable Add to Cart button. Now, you guys might think that that's silly, but nobody else has that. With GoToWebinar, have you ever seen this ridiculous thing go on every single slide? So if you're interested, simply go to jvzoo.com/special bonus for Webinar Jam. Again, it's the biggest turnoff of webinars. It feels like you're taking it back 20 years.
Yeah,
exactly.
You got to make a web page with a 1-800 number on it almost.
Yeah, and you're reading like things out of your chat, like Jim, that's because you have to put the www in front of that. No, you can't just click the screen. People are like, I'm clicking the screen, nothing's happening. It's like, oh my God, it's 1990s technology. So here,
exactly,
we've got a button the way it should be, and we can put a countdown timer, because we know with QVC that's called urgency, and the sales really start flying in when people start seeing that the special bonus that we're making on this webinar is going away once that timer hits 0. Okay, so you're seeing that actually happening live right there, a countdown timer. You know what else we can do? We can do number of copies available. I can simply say that there's a bonus only available for the first 10 people, and I can put a tracking code on my thank you page, or I can manually manipulate it with a button that I can see in what I call a studio control center. So as I see my sales start coming in, I can just start saying, hey, we just actually had a sale. Just pop up. We just put the button up, and already somebody just bought. Way to go, guys. Let's see who that buyer is. View. Judy. Judy just purchased. Judy, you can let us know in the chat. Maybe if I'm brave, I'll bring you in, Judy, and ask you what made you purchase as soon as that button went live. But we did just get a purchase from somebody named Judy. Yeah, but so I think you guys get it. We can also say that there's only 7 of these bonuses available. Oh, 2 more sales, only 5. Guys, you need to take action. There's people checking out at the shopping cart right now, and there are only 3 more bonuses left. When you start doing that with time and number of units available, people just get excited because it's called fear of loss. They don't want to lose. All right, so let's move on. Okay. Webinar Jam Studio automatically has a studio control center for you. So I'm going to show you something. I'm going to share my screen here and show you something else here. So I'm going to stop, probably show my pretty face here, and I'm going to share a different screen, guys. This is happening live. Okay. So here, I have all my chats here going on, everything right here. I have all of my questions that I'm going to later answer, right? EBR, you've seen webinars where your chat's going so fast and you're trying to read and you're like, great webinar. I bought another product. Is that bonus included in Jim, contact support, right? Because you're trying to find the real question.
Oh, yeah.
We break them out logically in a separate area. I can see who's in my admin, who my attendees are, who's requested to speak, and who's purchased, simply by doing this. And if I click this little button right here that says invite as speaker, Judy will be invited. Now down here, this is where I was launching my polls, right? I click this, I hit load, here's my poll, and when I click start, everybody sees it, right? This is the offer that you guys are seeing right now, right? And if I wanted to preload any videos, I would select videos from my video library and they would play and people would think they were live. Pretty cool. This is what we call the Studio Control Center. I'm going to show you another presentation of my screen here that you guys are going to love. Check this out. This is my entire desktop. So EBR, check out how I'm running my webinar. Okay, over here I got my Studio Control Center. Over here I got my slides that I exported from Keynote into HTML. And up here I've got the webinar room where I see everything happening live in the webinar. Right? So not only can I see my slides, I don't have to be in full screen, but you think I am. I can see what's going on in the webinar room, and I've got all of this stuff going on over here that I can monitor. And I can even have an admin chat. I don't need to keep Skype open with my team. If I click on the admins, I can start typing with my admin people, and I can invite as many admins as I want. So I'm going to kill this view and go back to the presentation. Guys, if you think what I just showed you is pretty cool, let me know in the chat if you say now you see the difference between what makes Webinar Jam Studio compared to GoToWebinar. And then I'm going to wrap this up and give you a price. Sound good? So I'm going to go back to my Keynote, share that screen, and let's wrap that up. So you saw the video, the Studio Control Center, where the reason why it says I can save on bandwidth is, if I want to have 4 moderators inside my office or my house here that are monitoring the chat, with GoToWebinar, everybody needs to log into the webinar room. They're sucking down bandwidth. And you've got 4 people sucking down bandwidth, and then the webinar speaker is going, and then they're saying, I don't know what's going on. I've got a great internet connection here. Every time I do a webinar, I can't even get good connection. No, it's because every moderator in your office is also on the webinar sucking down bandwidth. Everybody's commenting how much they like that. Bad to the bone, pretty cool. That's dope. Just amazing. I do like the look of it compared to the ones out there. Too much for me to read here, but you guys can read it. I'm going to keep going. As you saw, it goes in a separate browser tab. I can put it in a separate PC on my laptop next to me. Or the way that I did it, I monitor my polls, my surveys, the questions, all of my offers, my add to cart buttons, and attendee spotlight. I can see sales, right? I can know how many sales are going on in the room. Audience engagement, peak people, who bought, all these great things. All right, we have something called feedback flow. Now, did you guys notice that my, the people on my team, I had, Donna come on and she was clicking some things. So type yes in the chat room if you noticed that on your screen you were seeing what we call feedback flow. Let me give you an example of what that looks like. So an example here on your screen, it says, Mary says, are you going to offer a discount today at the end of the webinar? Right? We see that in the chat, and there's a megaphone feature. We simply click on the megaphone and everybody sees it live. Okay? And then next, if we reply to that answer, right, we could say, yes, at the end of the webinar, we're going to give you an incredible deal. This is pretty hypnotic stuff, right? So make sure to stick to the end, right? Okay.
That's pretty amazing. Loving that.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool feature, right? So this is great for questions that people have, comments, praise. When they say EBR, man, this is the best webinar that I've been on in the last, in the last 6 months. You guys are rocking it. Thank you. Well, why should we just read that out? Especially when people shut off chat and go to webinar. People think you're making it up. You click on that, and people know that it's real. Okay, it's great for when you quote something, or comments, questions, all that. I think you get that, right? So you guys also saw that Judy, when she made a purchase, it flashed on the screen and it said, Judy just purchased Webinar Jam. Okay, because the tracking code is on our page, so that's really cool for social proof, and you can shut that on or off if you want. It's up to you, but social proof is really, really cool. The video engine, guys, I spoke to you about earlier, you could load up to 10 pre-recorded videos that can do your live presentations. So let me tell you why that's important. Okay, if you record your top-notch presentation, right? It's great that you can make $3,000 to $5,000 on a webinar, and it's great that you could do them 3 times a week or 4 times a week. But I got to tell you, you do this for 4 months straight, and even though your friends in the real world are going to be stop complaining. You're making all that money, and you only got to work 4 hours a week, and you're complaining. But let me tell you, I have a cold right now, guys. I don't know if you noticed, my voice is a little hoarse. I had to take some Dayquil, which dried my mouth, and you probably hear me going a little bit more than I wanted to. I'm sipping my Snapple, and my nose is stuffed, and you're hearing me go. That's not the ideal way to do a presentation. What I would prefer, what I can do, is I can record my presentation, my training, and my close, and I could show up live, and I could be like, hey, everybody, it's April 20th. Thanks for showing up on time. I've got a really, really great presentation for you. So let me load up the keynote presentation and let's get started. Now, I didn't lie to anybody, right? I don't think anybody cares. I simply click video that's called training video keynote presentation. And then it says, there are 37 minutes left. And you know what? The video takes over. Hey, everybody, it's Mike Filsaime. Today I'm going to show you how to And you know what I can go do? I can go to the bathroom. I can go eat, I can go make a quick scrambled egg, I can make a phone call, I can check with my team, I can do whatever I want. I can just relax and watch the presentation, and it automatically shuts off my microphone and mutes my, shuts off my camera.
What are some other things we can do, Mike?
What's that? I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Oh, you missed my joke. Never mind.
Oh, no, I actually didn't hear you. I
said, what are some other things we can do, Mike?
Oh, what did I miss a joke? What did I miss?
You said we can make an omelet, we can go to the bathroom, and I said, there's some other things we can do. I was liking the list.
Oh, I see. I get the joke.
Oh, timing is everything in comedy. Come on.
You're going to get us in trouble here. All right, but you get it, right? So you now see it say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and guess what happens? Bink! Camera comes back on, microphone comes back on. So let's assume that was 40 minutes of training presentation. My job now is just, hey guys, wasn't that pretty cool? Great. Let's do a quick poll, right? And then I can say, let me show you the offer that I have for you today. Yeah, let the offer go for 11 minutes. Do what I'm doing right now. I don't have to do this every night. And then when it's done, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom. All right, guys, let's do the Q&A. All right, so that really saves you a lot of time. Next thing we have is something called the Jams on Demand Marketplace. It's pretty cool. We're going to be putting a link at the top of Webinar Jam that basically shows the upcoming webinars that are coming up, and you can just right-click at any time and just register for them. You'll also be able to enter your email address and say, I want to know when there's webinars on these topics, and you could click on the replay tab, and on the replay tab, you can see all the replays that are out there. So imagine you did a webinar 3 months ago, and somebody stumbled across it and found it, and you're making a $497 sale for a webinar you did 3 months ago. But check this out. This is even better. We have an affiliate program right here. Let me just pull that up. If you see right under here where it says watch, I know it's hard to see, but it says affiliates. So if you have a webinar, you can actually set it up with your affiliate program with JVZoo. And then when people click on that, they'll show up and they'll say, hey everybody, I've got a webinar that's converting really well. Just sign up for the JVZoo link and promote my replay. So imagine one day you wake up and you see that you made 30 sales of a $500 product. $15,000 in sales, you split it at 50%, you had a $7,500 a day because somebody clicked on your affiliate link and decided to promote your webinar, right? That's a pretty cool thing. And that's the all-new Webinar Jam Studio. I know you can't read this. I'm going to try to zoom in on it here. I don't know if that helps. It says, good news from John Schumacher. Good news, it works. Michael and I just crushed our first JV webinar using Webinar Jam Studio, and everything worked great. Both of us and our JV partner got to the webinar just fine. All of the attendees came right to the webinars. All of the pop-ins and the offers worked perfectly. She works, ladies and gentlemen. She works. We even used the feedback flow and the attendee spotlight to bring a current member of our Hangouts That Convert program to share the testimonial. Thank you, Andy and Mike, for the upgrades and staying ahead of the industry. All right, so our people are absolutely loving this. So here's a limited time offer that we're giving you. We've got a 7-hour training program that costs $497. That is normally an upsell to Webinar Jam Studio. You're going to get that included today for free. It's advanced. It's a completely online digital training course. We really break down the 5 laws into 7 hours of training. This stuff is really, really great, guys. I don't want to belay this. We just went through the training. I think you get what that is. Normally sold separately for $497. It's included on this webinar for you today, free with Webinar Jam Studio. We're also going to give you 6 months access to a new software we have coming out called EverWebinar. It comes out in June. All right. At the end of June, we are going to be releasing EverWebinar. It's the new standard for evergreen webinars for pre-recorded webinar campaigns. We know them better than anybody. We did Evergreen Business System. It allows you to create hands-off automated campaigns. It allows you to put everything into one dashboard. You get your Webinar Jam Studio live webinars, and you can convert them into your evergreen webinars with the click of a button. Okay, so that's Webinar Jam Studio, $497 value, EverWebinar, $149 value, and Webinar Jam Studio, that's a total value of $900 that you're getting today, and you can get all of that for just $297. I'm going to give you a special bonus, but this is for this webinar only. I have to look over here and see how much time we actually have left. I'm probably, we've got 14 minutes for Q&A. When that goes away, so does this bonus. Guys, we did a product last year, sold 8,000 copies at $297 in our 10-day launch. It was called Video Genesis. And you can go buy this right now for $297. It teaches you how Andy and I do all of our incredible videos, our great video sales letters, how we get slides like this done that look really, really good. We break down what kind of cameras we use, what we do in our studio, everything. It's all broken down in the course. It's a $297 value. If you buy during this webinar, you get that absolutely free. Joe Jose Da Silva just purchased. Way to go. Congratulations. We got Jose just purchased. Way to go, Joe. Again, I know that because I just looked at my dashboard and that just popped up. So, Jose, Judy, you guys purchased without even knowing that. You're getting access to that. So, guys, that's now a $1,200 bonus value. You're getting Webinar Genesis, EverWebinar, on this webinar only, and I'm going to take it out of the replay. So when we mail the replay later, I'm going to go into YouTube and I'm going to edit out this section. You won't be getting webinar, the Video Genesis bonus. So that's only if you order in the next 13 minutes or so, in the next 12 minutes, whatever the timer says right there, that's being blocked by my microphone. Get started for $297 today. Again, it's only available during this webinar. Take advantage right now with the button that you see on the right side of your offers there. If you're not seeing the Add to Cart button, you should, but click Pop-ins if you're not seeing it for any reason. All right, if you navigated around and clicked on the polls and stuff, click on the Pop-ins, you'll see the Add to Cart buttons. And let's go now to the Q&A. All right, I believe this is Q&A time. Yes, it is. It's because the slides say.
Mike, let me just pop in there and say, you know, I mean, one thing that I thought I was going to hear you say, and I didn't. One webinar, you get your money back. I mean, that's it.
Oh my
one
God,
webinar, make one sale on one webinar, and you get your money back. Can you say that with GoToWebinar or any of the other competitors out there? Is that something that you can do? Get your money back with just one webinar?
Yeah, because you have to pay. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is
and then
amazing.
You're going to pay $49. again next month. And here's the thing. I know that some marketers, they don't do webinars all the time. You know, they'll do a webinar because they got to launch, but they may not do a webinar for the next 5 months. Why should you pay $4.99 a month when you didn't do a webinar that month? There is not a logical reason why they should bill you. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. So that's $6,000 a year. It doesn't have the feedback flow. It doesn't have the add to cart buttons. It doesn't have the urgency timers. It doesn't have the countdown. Unit scarcity, doesn't have the attendee spotlight, the marketplace, separate Q&A, the polls, the surveys, the hybrid webinars, and it's $4.99 a month. It has radio quality sound. Webinar Jam Studio is just getting better. 20,000 customers absolutely love this. 7,000 people in a Facebook group that is thriving every day with hundreds of posts sharing latest strategies with webinars. As EBR just said, my goodness, $297. Obviously, you're getting great training. Obviously, you're getting good bonuses. Obviously, you're getting a 30-day money-back guarantee. You have no risk. The crazy thing is to not use it. Doing a webinar is easy. You post on Facebook. You can do a webinar and get 10 people in a room. And guess what? When your conversion rates are 15%, well, when you do 10 webinars, that's 15 sales. And if you have a $1,000 product, that's $7,500 by getting 10 people on a webinar, doing it twice a week over a month. That's it. Just 10 people on a webinar. How do you get to 100 people? You start out one at a time. Remember what I told you? A high converting webinar is what gets you JV partners? That's it. We give you all of the metrics that you could get a screenshot and print out and show to somebody and say, yeah, that's how my webinar is converting.
Hey, Mike, I just want to throw some numbers out there, just to kind of put this into perspective. First of all, we know that GoToWebinar doesn't have nearly the bells and whistles and useful tools that Webinar Jam has. But over the last 5 years, I've been paying $3.99 per month for GoToWebinar. And that totals out to $23,940 that I have paid in the last 5 years to GoToWebinar. Had I been using Webinar Jam the entire time, that whole 5 years is just $1,400. So, do you want to pay $24,000 or $1,000? I mean, it's insane over a 5-year period. It's mind-boggling, actually. I mean, not only the money that you'd save, but the amount of tools that you get with Webinar Jam that you don't get for an extra $20-something thousand. So
yeah, I don't blame you for paying it. I know it made you millions.
Oh, because webinars are very lucrative, absolutely. But you know what? It doesn't matter if you're making 100,000 or a million or just breaking even. It doesn't matter. I mean, you're throwing money away for a less for a product that's inferior, and that's why I'm switching to Webinar Jam. I mean, there's no question in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad to hear that. That's the only thing. It just doesn't make sense anymore. We have a triple your money back guarantee that says if you're using GoToWebinar, that if we don't increase your profits by at least 20%, we'll triple your money back. Why? Because not only are we more affordable, but we know that using all of the stuff that we have in our platform, with the text messages going out and all this stuff, it's just gonna make it so much more profitable for you. So, guys, we have about 8 seconds left. I'm going to do some of the questions here, Q&A. Bobby says, I thought you said you were going to give out the slides just for attending the webinar. Yes, Bobby, you're absolutely right. I said as soon as we're done with the Q&A. So don't worry. I'm going to push that where you can download that right where you see the Add to Cart button. I'll be pushing that for you. So don't worry about that. Next, somebody says here, this is way more powerful than GoToWebinar. And no, it's not a one-time fee. It's $297 a year. But remember, as if this is, guys, this is not a cost, right? That's not what it costs. You have to look at the return on investment. You don't buy this to put it on the shelf, right? This isn't an Apple Watch. You're not buying this so that you can say, hey, I've got a watch that looks cool. Okay? You're buying this because you're going to use it a couple of times a month. And when done right, webinars alone can give you a full-time income. So I want you to be on vacation. I want you to be like on the marketer's cruise. and I want you to be in like Belize, and I want you to be using your credit card one day, and then suddenly your credit card doesn't work because you're traveling, and you're like, not a big deal, and then I want you to go, oh my goodness, my credit card's not working. I need to call my credit card company because Webinar Jam Studio is going to rebill, and I don't want to cancel it. You know, that's how much I feel you're going to love, absolutely love this. I'm broadcasting the Q&A here. I'll put my my little face on here for you guys and my glasses and all this. Mike, why do you have Keynote in your browser? Marcus, that's an option, and I'll tell you why. I export my Keynote into an HTML, and because Apple has recently put Keynote into the cloud, Keynote works exactly in an HTML in a browser, identical to the way that it would work in the app. And by being able to do that, I can share my screen with you when it's in my browser, size this big on my screen, but I can still have the webinar over here and my Studio Control Center over here. And for me, I like to have more of a dashboard look. Okay? And what's nice about it is you guys only see my browser tab. You can't see the rest of my desktop, right? You know, I'm very good friends with Brian Zimmerman too. I mean, that guy sends me some crazy pics. God forbid one of those things was showing on my desktop, right? Okay, your EVR, you're laughing because you know what I'm talking about, right? So I don't want you guys seeing my desktop, right? So for me, you guys see what you think is full screen. If I have to use Keynote and I click play, my whole screen goes, and it takes up my whole monitor, and I could have Donna chatting to me on Skype. Mike, your audio just went out, and I could be talking for 20 minutes, and law number 5, and I wouldn't even be getting messages. I wouldn't be able to see anybody. So I like more having like this dashboard of my Studio Control Center. What if you don't want your YouTube channel as a public video? Great question. When you're setting up your webinar, when it says replays, you want it public or private, you simply click private, and the replay will go to your YouTube channel and be unlisted, meaning nobody can find it unless you share the URL with them. Roxanne, that was my question. What is the difference between GoToWebinar and Webinar Jam? We got that. Do you have a methodology for stopping the glossy eyes staring the webinar and not really listening to you? No, honestly, just good content. Can the Studio Control Center be run from a different PC? Absolutely. Guys, if you take a look over here, I actually have my laptop running in case I wanted to, but when I set up the dashboard this way earlier today, when I shared my screen with you earlier, it was easier for me, just plugging this in so it doesn't die, it was easier for me to just have it all on one screen, but I actually recommend to have your laptop or a dual screen display and put your Studio Control Center on a separate notification, okay? Jacques says, can I opt out of that automatic recording and keep my webinar on the private level with my clients? Yes, you can, absolutely. We give you a couple of options. You can actually take the webinar video and you can embed it inside of like a members area inside of Kajabi or Wishlist, and people can log in and see that video. And by keeping your video private, nobody could find it on YouTube unless you shared that link with them. All right? So now, guys, when you are in the chat and you ask me a question, there's a little button that says Mark as question. So that's why I was able to find some of these questions a little bit easier. Some of you didn't do that, so I'm just going to go through the chat while we have 3 minutes and 40 seconds left and look up another 2 or 3 questions. Let's see here. Now I'm doing the old GoToWebinar style. So remember, if you ask a question, hit the Mark as question button in the chat. This is way more powerful than GoToWebinar, period. And it's a one-time fee. No, $297 a year, but just as good. Bobby, I thought you said we're giving the slides. So you know what? Let me give you guys the slides right now. I'm going to remove the offer for just a minute. Let me see if I actually loaded that in. I better have. There you go. Okay, guys, that should be it right there. Display. All right, that's a bonus mind map, and it should also have my slides in there as well. Okay, if they don't, let me know. I'll put them on Dropbox real quick. I'm pretty sure that Dropbox link has both. All right, guys, I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to click that download button. 10 seconds. I want to thank you for sticking around for me to the end. I'm going to take that off in 10 seconds. All right, so click it now. All right, and I'm going to remove that. So if you're seeing that, make sure to click it. And I know there's a slight delay by the time you're hearing this, so I just want to make sure you get it. All right, And that's it, fellas. I'm going to now go back to the final offer. I'm going to put up the final 2 minutes, and then you need to buy or you're going to not get any of those bonuses that we went over. All right, so this offer is done, and we are now back to Webinar Jam Studio.
Hey, Mike, so Frank just asked, does this work on a Mac? And of course it does. It works on a Mac, a PC, it works on anything that connects to the internet, correct?
Absolutely. Any single device that you're on. We actually had somebody running their webinar on an iPad the other day. So it runs on a Mac, a PC, and here's the cool thing. See, with GoToWebinar, your webinar attendees actually have to download something that sometimes get lost behind the browser. If you're dealing with a baby boomer type of generation, and they click download and then their browser and the GoToWebinar thing downloads in the bottom, they don't even realize. They're going to your help desk wondering why they couldn't get on a webinar. It just doesn't make sense. So for us, somebody can click on a link in their email and it opens it up in a browser. And that's crucial because, number one, not only is there no software to install, but how many times are people in their car or they're driving on the train or they're a passenger in a car and they want to listen to a webinar? Can't do that on GoToWebinar. You got to download an app. You've got to dial in. Have you ever done this? You're looking at your email, you see this ridiculously long 800 number and a 6-digit PIN, and then you're going back to your phone and you dial the number, and you're going back to the email, and it's like, please enter the PIN. Sorry, not on time. Like, I mean, that's just antiquated. We give people a link, they click, they show up. It's that simple. GoToWebinar makes you have an app to download for Android, an app to download for iOS. We actually allow you to not just call in, but if you have a smartphone, you click a button, you're actually seeing the video and the chat and everything on your iPad and on your iPhone. So not only, people say, oh, well, with Webinar Jam Studio, people can't call in. Well, we don't live in that world anymore. We don't live in the world where people have phones on their wall with rotary buttons. We live in a world where people have smartphones, which are computers. They click a link and they show up. They just show up and see what you're seeing right here. So I'm going to set this to the final 2 minutes here. And display, I'm going to take this and we're going to redirect everybody later. Display offer. All right, guys, we've got 2 minutes. 2 minutes left here in here. EBR, anything you wanted to mention here in the final closing? And thank you for reminding me all these important things about the value, how much money they'll actually make with this if they use it and apply the training.
And save with it as well. I mean, I'm just, I've been using GoToWebinar for so many years. We've been, we were one of the early adapters of webinars. Before we started, webinars were mainly just these boring little monotone speaking people, and we tried to kind of change that and turn it into more of like a radio/television show and make it more interactive with the crowd and between the host and everybody, and we just wished always that there were more ways to interact with the audience, that there were more ways to pull them in, and years went by and the technology did not get better, and just all of a sudden, Mike Filsaime comes out of the shadows and says, "Look what I've been doing for the last year." And you made that face exactly like that. And this is just—it's mind-blowing. And for somebody like me who has been using GoToWebinar for so long and was just okay, it is what it is. I'm blown away. I mean, this is the way to do webinars. Period.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Some of the people are saying the slides are missing. Not a problem. I will actually stay on right now. I will move those slides to a PDF, put it in Dropbox, and put the link in there. But before I do that, we've got 18 seconds. So this is the deal, guys. This Add to Cart button will be going away soon. You need to click it now and get that order page open in your browser so you can take advantage, because in the next 5 seconds or whatever, when that goes away, so does this offer. Once we close up this webinar, we're done. All right, I'm going to load that up there just real quick while I get this mind map. Somebody said that they're not in there, and I see a couple of more questions. EBR, I'm going to stick around for about 2 more minutes, just answer those last questions for everybody. So I'm just going to shut this part off. All right. So, guys, I see a couple of questions. One, hey, Mike, would you use Webinar Jam to generate testimonials for my service when I just started? what I use Webinar Jam to generate testimonials for my service when I just started. Not sure what that means. Somebody asked, can I close the public chat room? Great question. You have an option to show the public chat room or close it, and show how many attendees are in the room or not show, or any combination. So that's a good question. Next, can you confirm that there are videos in the library we can earn affiliate commissions on? Sorry, I had to pop out at the wrong time. No, guys, we don't have any private label webinars. A couple of people have actually been asking about that, so you made us think maybe we can get some private label webinars where you can just drive traffic and hit our hybrid button and let a presentation do that for you. If anybody knows where I can find private label webinars, email me at mike@marketinggenesis.com. I will buy them and I'll put them in Webinar Jam Studio for you as a free bonus for you guys. You can actually, if you don't have a product to sell, you'll be able to run webinars if somebody can provide that for me. Somebody says here, my computer blipped. Will there be a replay? Yeah, guys, we're going to send out a replay, but the bonus for the Video Genesis will not be available on the replay. I got the mind map right. I've used GoToWebinars for a couple of years and WFP recently. I have to confess, this looks extremely exciting. Thank you. Thank you, Eamon. Appreciate it. Got the mind map, no slides, guys. I'm gonna do that for you right now. So EBR, do me a favor. Close these people out on hitting that button while I go do this and give them what they promised. I thought I had it in that Dropbox link. I didn't. I'm going to do that for them right now.
All right. So I will close this just by telling everybody once again. I didn't have the time to go through Webinar Jam when it first came out. I kept saying that I was going to do it. I kept putting it off, and one thing led to another. We continued using GoToWebinar, and those of you that know me, I've been doing webinars for so long. I put out several courses, sold almost 8,000 copies of that course, teaching other people how to do webinars in my style with my closing techniques. And so, I mean, I'm no stranger to webinars. And for me to say that I will be using this as opposed to GoToWebinar from now on, that's a big stretch, because GoToWebinar has made me millions of dollars over the years. And I will not be using them anymore. I will be transitioning over to Webinar Jams for all of my personal webinars, and you know, the businesses that I'm involved in, you know, we still have involvement with Webinar Swaps and JVZoo, of course. I am going to convince them also to transfer over to Webinar Jams, because it just doesn't make sense to stay with a product that's, one, more expensive, and two, doesn't do a fraction of the things that that Mike's Webinar Jam does. So, you know, I mean, a personal thank you to Mike and Andy Jenkins for putting out such an awesome product. And Mike, I'm looking at your picture right now on this screen, and you're just like trying to get these up there.
I've got it. I've
actually get them up there. And you know, hey, and while you've given me the mic, I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight too. And most of all, hey, thanks for a great presentation. Whether you purchased Webinar Jams or not tonight, you know, give it up for Mike Filsaime, and what a great presentation he gave us here tonight. So, you know, if you guys can just, you know, one last thing, put your fingers on the keyboard and just type in how appreciative you are to Mike Filsaime for the awesome presentation that he gave you tonight. So if you guys could do that, and now that we see him on camera, we can actually watch his head swell as he reads them.
Okay, guys, I just put the bonus slides up for you. They're going to be up there for about 30 seconds while I look for you guys typing in here. I appreciate all the comments there. I appreciate you all staying on. So I'm going to leave this up because I want to close the webinar. Obviously, the right way to do that is with an Add to Cart button. And I'm going to redirect.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you know what, Mike, I got to interrupt. Just one more thing. Robson just reminded me. Another thing, unlimited. Oh, my goodness. Do you know how many times we have filled up a GoToWebinar and it hit the maximum of 1,000 people in the room? I mean, time and time and time again. How much money did we lose by not being able to put 2,000 or 3,000 or even 4,000 people in the room? Tons of money, I will tell you that right now. Tons of money. If we made $5,000 in a webinar, we could have made $20,000 if we had more. Or if we made $20,000 in a webinar, we could have made $80,000 if we were able to go past that. So that's one thing that's just huge. Unlimited attendees.
Yeah. So guys, you're all saying that the link is not working. That's because it's uploading to Dropbox. So if you just keep that page refreshed because it's uploading to Dropbox. I literally just added it. It should be up there any minute. All right for you. And here's what I'm going to do. I know everybody that was on the webinar. I'm going to send you an email right now with that link again, so you'll also have it in your email. All right, so don't worry about that. It is all available for you. So earlier I gave you the mind map PDF. You should have downloaded that, but don't worry. I'm going to send you an email with both. I want to thank EBR for doing this here for us. I'm going to actually take. This is another feature that we have. You can redirect everybody at the end of a webinar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give our final sign off. First, I'm going to get the link to the order page given to me by these guys. Okay, and copy. Bear with me just a second, guys. Copy, and let's hit the room. And here we have redirect all attendees. I'm not going to do that right now. I will definitely warn you first. Okay, everybody, I appreciate everybody for making it to the webinar. I appreciate everybody saying here, EBR, as you told them, they said, great job, Mike, great information, thanks for inspiring. Guys, look out for an email. I'm going to be sending you an email right now with your bonuses that we promised, and I'll also put this buy link in there. We'll keep this open for the next hour or so that you guys can get this. Once the replay goes live in about an hour, the webinar jam bonuses that we gave you go away. Remember, the price is going up 33% to $397 a year. So make sure to act now. You get the upsell for free, $497, Webinar Genesis. Free, $497 value, free. You're getting our next software that comes out, EverWebinar. You're going to get 6 months access of that for Evergreen Webinars. You're getting it $297 right now instead of $397, which it's going to be Wednesday. And you're also getting from this webinar Video Genesis. Okay, everybody, take it easy. I'm going to redirect the entire room right now to the JVZ order page. Make sure to buy that. I can't wait to have you as mutual customers with EBR and Brian Zimmerman. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everybody, for coming.
Okay. All right.